You are welcome once again to my live CCTV tutorial lessons. So far in our tutorials, we've talked about the CCTV cameras, specifically the HD cameras, into details. We have so far looked at the DVR, or the digital video recorder, and how you can install a surveillance drive into the DVR. So in today's lesson, we are looking at how you can prepare your CCTV cables. Remember, you'd recall that every CCTV camera comes with both a video terminal and a power terminal. And so the cablings that we'll be preparing today would be a video cable as well as a power cable. We'll be starting with the video cable preparation, but before we go to the preparations, here are a few tools that we'll be using in the course of this short presentation. I have here a cartridge knife for peeling my cables. I have some few screwdrivers that we'll be using, and then also a cutting ply which will be used for the cutting of cables. So I want to right away commence with the video cable terminations. This one has already been terminated fully with the BNC connectors at both ends. And so what I want to do is to cut off one end, so we look at the full process of setting up a fresh one. I'll be telling you the precautions you need to take and exactly what you need to do. So I'll first use my cutting ply to cut off this end, so that this is the end we'll be terminating afresh. I have my a couple of BNCs ready to be used. So the first thing is what I want to tell you first of all is that this is just one type of BNC connector. There are several types that you find in the market, but the mode of operation of BNC connectors is the same, whereby when we peel the cable, I will show you the basic similarity whenever you take BNC connectors. So basically, when you're able to use this, you should be able to use any kind of BNC connector for your termination of your CCTV video cable. So let's start. So I'll randomly pick one of them, and the first thing to do is to disassemble it. This particular one, disassembling it has to do with screwing and unscrewing the base from the top. So this part that I have removed from the base, I'll first have to place it on the BNC, or the coaxial cable. This cable is a coaxial cable, so I'll place it on it first. And then also there is also an insulation point, or an insulator, that is on the BNC. It also has to be placed on the cable. And then now to continue, we'll have to peel the cable and ensure that our cable sits into the BNC connector. So this is what I will do. I will use the cartridge knife here and try to reveal the conductors in the BNC cable. So I'll first try to create a mark on the coaxial cable. In trying to mark out this, you must not do it too hard to touch the cabling in the BNC. So as you can see, I'm slowly doing it so that I can reveal the braids in the coaxial cable. So when it goes round, you realize that you can just pull off the insulation. So we are interested in these external braids of the coaxial cable. These braids are very important. They are not for fun. You realize that this serves like a sort of grounding to your cable. So you need to make sure that you do not cut it off when using the cartridge knife. You do not cut them off, or you do not have the cartridge knife cut off these external braids of the coaxial cable. It's very, very important. So what we can do is to put the braids together, and then we can twist them together as one. And then also this aluminum foil can be taken off from the cable. The next step is to measure up the BNC with the coaxial cable. You realize that the aluminum foil has been taken off, leaving the external braids. The external braids is very useful, and so the external braid is what will be touching, let me point out, this side of the BNC cable, so the external part of the BNC cable. And then also there's a point that will be touching the middle point of the BNC. So basically what will happen is that the inner part of the coaxial cable will then appear at this point, at the center of the BNC, and the external braid will then be touching the body of the BNC. Let me actually demonstrate, but before I do, I'll measure up the point that will be entering into the BNC with the cable, or the point that will be entering into the BNC. So when I measure up, I can cut off from a point here. When I measure it up like this, I can cut almost half of the BNC off, the coaxial cable off, pardon me. And then also this is how it will go. So I will need to remove the insulation on the coaxial cable, so that I have the internal core of the coaxial cable. So I would remove this one. So let me do a bit of education here. This is the central core of the BNC. This is the central core of the coaxial cable. Sorry for saying BNC. The central core of the coaxial cable, and this is the external braid. Both the central core and the external braids are equally important. So please, in your installations, don't cut off the external braid. The moment you cut off the external braid, you realize that the video cannot be transmitted over this cable. It's very important to note. So now the internal core, which is the central part of the cable, is what will then be establishing connection with this central part of the BNC connector, and then the external braid will be establishing contact with the body of the BNC connector. And as I mentioned earlier on, any other type of BNC connector will basically have the central point and then also the external side. So whatever type of BNC you have, always make sure that the central core of your coaxial cable is so terminated to connect into that central core, and then the braid is for the body part of the BNC connector. So this is what we'll do. In my type of BNC, there's a need to loosen this screw here to receive the central core of the BNC. So I'll simply use my star screwdriver and then loosen that middle part, loosen it gradually so that the central core can enter. So this is how it will be. The central core will enter into the hole where the screw is at this point. It will be entering that point, and then the external braid can be made to touch the body of the BNC. So this is how it will go inside like that, and then you find that the external braid is here. I can see that the central core is not sitting properly, so I have to cut off a bit of the central core so it can sit properly. So it will go in this way as it goes in. I think it is satisfactory somehow. Now I can let the external braid enter into it this way to establish contact. So if that is how I'll do it, I need to cut off a bit of the external braid off and then have it sit into the BNC. I need to open up this a bit and then also have this enter like this. So this is what I have. The braid is made to touch inside this kind of metallic housing, and then also the central core is touching or is in this screw, it's under that screw. So what you can do is to tighten the screw here, tighten it up, it is firm. Then the external braid would now be, this will be closed on the external braid. You close it up so that contact will be established very well in this. So when you finish, you will just roll up the insulation. This insulator is to serve as a means of preventing contact between the external braid and then the central core. So it's very important you roll it up onto it. So now when I roll up the screw or the housing of this thing, you realize that the outer will not be touching the middle. So here it is. This sleeve that we open and place, we just easily close it like this. As we close it well, you realize that the BNC is well terminated. So the BNC has been done. So it means that this is something that can be used to connect a camera. So here is a camera. This is how this will do. It's just a matter of connecting it into a camera. You push it into a camera, you twist it, and then this is for the video transmission from the camera into a DVR. So that is the purpose of this termination, for video transmission. Okay, so that's about that. Now let's look at the power termination. Remember I said that a CCTV cable comes with both power and video cable. So there's a need to prepare a cabling for the power connection as well. And the CCTV camera already comes with the power or the female DC power connector. So you must find an appropriate interface for connecting into the camera. So here are two alternatives. These are two male DC power connectors. So this is one that comes with cable already, and this is one without cable. It's a socket, a DC power socket. Both of them, any of them can be used. So this is how this one works. You can plug it into this, and then this end is what you just join to a power cable for your CCTV, your CCTV power cable. Or you can use this one where you can also as well plug into the camera, and then you put your CCTV power cabling in here. One point to note, you realize that this particular one has the cables appropriately identified. We have the black and then the red. The red stands for the positive power, and then the black stands for the negative power. And so this also has the polarity markings, or the positive and negative marking. When I show it to the camera, you realize that the down here is labeled positive. So let me use the screwdriver to point it. The point here is positive, which corresponds with the positive at the top there. So when you put the cable here, it will be the positive, and then the cable here will be the negative. So let's see how that is done. I would show you how each of them is used in a way. So this is another power cable that I intend to use for my CCTV cabling. So in the case of this DC power connector, it's just a matter of ensuring that my positive, which is the red, is joined to the positive, and then the negative is joined to the negative, and very well insulated. Let me do that for you to see. So with my cutting ply, I will try and peel up the cable. Let me peel up the cable to reveal the conductor. So I've done for the positive, and then I'll do for the negative as well. So it is, you can see the cables peeled out there. They are well peeled. And so the cable I want to connect for my power supply to the camera is here. It's also red and blue. The red is clearly the positive, and then the blue is the negative. The conductors are not long enough, so I would like to strip them also to have a longer conductor to work with. So here they are. So I'll simply have to just twist the two together to have them joined together. So I'll have to join them, fold them neatly, and ensure that it is well joined. Okay, so as I establish this, I need to use an insulation tape to separate them, because they do not have to touch. Both the negative and the positive terminals do not have to touch. So you have to find an insulation tape like this, and then insulate that joint. So I will have to try and insulate the joint. It must be firm so that you don't lose the insulation off. So that's to be done very well. Okay, pull it off, ensure it is firm. Okay, so this is for the positive terminal of the cable. Now the negative as well, in the same process of joining, I'll join them together. Okay, so I've joined it, I'll fold it onto it, and then as well I'll insulate it also. I'll insulate it nicely. The insulation is very, very important, else you might create a short circuit, which we don't want to have in our installation. So you should always ensure, if you are using this type of DC power connector, your cables are well insulated after you have created the joint. So now that it is joined, this part is what will enter the camera, and the other end will look at how it will be fixed into this other end, which is naked. We'll see how it will be put into the power supply unit when we come to power supply unit installation. But this side is what easily fits power into your, let me take the power, this is what fits power into your CCTV camera. So you can either use this type or this type of DC connector, or you can use this other one. Let me show you how this other one is used. This is another DC power connector, and again the positive and negative remains the same. The red is the positive and the blue is the negative. And as I indicated earlier, you realize that there is polarity, positive and negative, indicated on this sort of cable as well. The positive is the let me see, the camera is not okay, it's showing now clearly. The positive is down here and the negative is at the top here. So it means the blue will enter into this terminal. I need to loosen it up a little bit using my star screwdriver. I'll open it up, open up the negative as well, and then we'll put the, no, it's rather this way. The positive comes here and then the negative goes here. After inserting them, just tighten them up firmly, and then your DC power connector is done. So you can see it is in place, and then this is also a best fit into the camera. So you can either use this type or you can use this one that we have seen to supply power into your CCTV camera. So that is that about cabling for your CCTV camera. So we have so far looked at the cameras, the DVR and its hard drive installation, and we have just seen the cable termination. In my next lesson, we'll be looking at extensively power supply. I have two types of power supply that I'll be introducing to you. We'll look at how they work and how you can very well set them up for your CCTV installation. I thank you so much for your time on this channel once again. You can drop your comments and questions about this video if you have any. I will attend to them. And in my viewer comment segment on Sunday, I will as well explain further any question that you bring in concerning my tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please ensure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications so that anytime we post videos of this nature, you'll be the first to be notified. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.